So that was Thursday, a dramatic day, especially opening race. Galloping to Champ, well, you could argue maybe a moral winner, but as I say, if you don't jump, you don't win. I'm not going to blame Paul Townend here for the fall. Many people I think were on Twitter and some weren't as well. It's different. I was actually at the one time I went to the King George Chase. It was 2016, and it wasn't actually that race I'm talking of here. In fact, it was actually Quarter Star Novices Chase. And there's criticism of Darryl Jacob, whose ride on might bite him. I felt he was about 15 odd lengths clear, and he went for a bit of a little jump at the final fence as well, and unseated on a dramatic fence. I'm saying I was in the race course then. I think I was a mistake from him here. I think I jumped. He should have made it the fence. Basically, he should have jumped it correctly. Didn't get his landing gear out. Horse's fault, frankly, not Paul Townend's. So a win for Bob Olinger there. I said yesterday, disappointing only 4 runners. You've got to wonder a long-term future of a race if you're going to have a situation like this. Someone putting on Twitter, it's the last 4-runner race since 94. I'm sad enough to know that was a Cathcart Chase in 1994. The last time I had a 4-runner race, I think, won by Wayne Millett. But you've got to wonder if they should have another race instead of this one, if this is going out of horses they're going to have running. There were 2 very, very good horses, and let's get everyone else off. But could one of them, or both, one of the Arkle or the Bordering Officers Chase, I don't know. But maybe, hopefully, if it comes to the gain of this race, you're going to have to look into it and just wonder, where is there a point having a grade one with hardly anyone there? Stewards had one thing we looked into, was the 3rd place horse Bauer, leading from nose there, the vet saying, I say 3rd place, he was the 3rd one to get round, because of course Gambling fell, and he was I don't think how many lengths he was back in 3rd. I'll just check this. 68 lengths back in 3rd. Buster was 40 lengths off Bob Bollinger in 2nd place. Now Bauer was 28 lengths down from him in 3rd place. I was doing saying he came 3rd. Well, he came in tomorrow basically. I think he nearly got slapped by the Thames hurdle field, frankly. Talking of attempts, I got quite excited for a short while. Honestly, I kept leading towards the final hurdle, but they had a chance, I felt, of going home straight. By the time I got the final hurdle, where it looked like he was going to get collared by a few horses, and sadly he did. But a good run for him in 5th place, 40-1. I didn't have an each way bet as such. Well, I did it for 5 places anyway. Could have maybe got that with some bookmakers. Didn't know what bet I was making. I was hoping perhaps Alaphilippe got up there, because I like Fergal O'Brien. He's been good value in the 2020 and also 2022 preview events at Cox and Chiltern Club in Newcastle in Fordham. So sadly, and he's had a good day, just not a winner. But he's saying that a preview event he's having about 4 horses at Cheltenham Festival, saying, and I think it was a bumper. He was saying Willie Mullins had 7, but he's done well though for O'Brien. He's had 2 place horses today. So good for him. And Philippe Dobson named after the cyclist. I think I do know that. I think I looked up once whether he was. But 3rd win just getting up there, 25-1. Over Tom O'Brien and trained by Hughie Morrison. The stewards looking in, as I was saying, in their report, looking into it was interference. Stewards, as in their report, saying was a stewards inquiry, of course, which was, I think it's interesting. Mick Fitzgerald was saying that if you have the ITV coverage, because they don't have voice in UK accounts, they only use ITV, and he was saying, oh well, Paddy Brennan being like a massive actor saying, oh, it was massive interference, oh, I was almost thrown off a horse, was the matter effect, basically. But it credited to Paddy Brennan, who basically said, and fair play to him, a lot of people on Twitter again praising Paddy Brennan, saying, well, no, basically wasn't any interference. I was surprised there was actually a call there at all for a stewards inquiry, and it was all massive on after that. It was not, results weren't going to be changed, and in actual fact, I think it was thought, but before that even, it was a surprise there was even a stewards inquiry. Didn't take long. I said about 8 seconds, I think, to announce it after they finished with hearing the evidence. So the last horse had to be disqualified for interference rather than was any currency was done for a drugs issue in 2016. Last horse there was Avaranson, 94 Stairs Hurdle, who barged into another lad who then basically dramatically forced Balassoni to have to switch to the outside. Balassoni nearly won the race, and Avaranson, in fact, didn't technically interfere with Balassoni, but I just wonder why. Just to think of it, whether he should actually be in 3rd place or in 2nd place, Avaranson. But anyway, that's the last interference change at Cheltenham Festival. That was Balassoni winning the Stairs Hurdle after Anson was disqualified in favour of him. Stewards were saying that both Tilly Beggar was one of the horses I had some money on along Stony Mountain were both hampered by the fall of the 4th hurdle. With the Ballet bit unlucky there as well, being hampered, and lost a lot of momentum. And this is some about post-race heat stress from the vets. with Ballyandy was unplaced. Of course, Serene also with 8th having issues with that, and Gordon Elliott's Masad de Belay was instituted by the soft ground, which even his opinion was riding tacky, and I think heard that yesterday, people saying that it might be a gluey ground today if it dried out. It did, so it's just soft. I suspect it probably good to soft tomorrow. So it may be good to soft tomorrow, but it's surprised any soft. I don't think there's any expectation of any rain, so I think it'll be good to soft. I don't think it'll ever hit good ground. I might just have a look now what the ground is. Conditions are currently for a Gold Cup, but I suspect it is currently soft ground. Yeah, that's soft ground. So it'd be good to soft all around, I suspect. Alloa, Fleet Commander Ryanair Chase really jumped well, and as the race was in comments running say, and basically it was an easy win. Conflated Wood was getting on into a battle of when he fell, but he only fell 2 out, but he was never going to get to Alloa really. Alloa was safely under control, excellent ride against Paul Townend, that's a good horse. I was saying this is his trip, as I'm a fan of Ryanair Chase, officially the Festival Trophy Chase. I like the race, I have to say. I think it's, as I said before, I may have said in a video at some point, that either to put out a short next day or two, as I always did a video about the history of Cheltenham Festival races from 1911, that was partly looking at maybe how a 3-day festival might work, and I then decided to do that one instead, and then do a 3-day festival next couple of days. But I like, someone once on Twitter saying, oh, a horse is either 2 mile or 3 mile, and I think, well, if it's for World Cup of 3 miles, then for the Pearl and Wayward Lad would have won it. It's just not. Even one man, 97 might have won the Gold Cup, not 96, but may want to win 97 Gold Cup, it was 3 miles, but it's just not. And Alloa is a 2 mile 5 horse. He's not a 2 mile, he's not a 3 mile and a quarter horse. This is his trip, and an easy win there, so retaining his trophy. Save for Florian Porter, retaining his trophy as well on the Stairs Hurdle. Good rider from Danny Mullins, 200 with pace. My horse, Classical Dream, I'm not sure, he came up strongly. There's arguments, Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman seems a decent tipster, just wish he would stop trying to do the bleeding pounce up Big Mac impression he seems to be doing. If he didn't do that, I think he would have more time for him. Also, Brian Gleeson a little bit. He seems to be yelling too much. And with Big Mac, of course, John McQuirk, I had a love-hate relationship really with him, and a lot unliked about him. I think he went on 10 years too long. I think if he retired 10 years before he was in effect forced out, I think he had a better reputation than later on. I think he came too much of a comedy act really, and interestingly his Casey bought for unfair dismissal. But he actually was a discrimination, I think it was, and even there's been some thought that he bought unfair dismissal case he might have won. But he was he could have not, if he'd been told he didn't. He was basically doing that because Channel 4 told him to. And it's interesting about it, obviously it's not relevant to this, but if it was the case, unfortunately I don't think the judgment exists anymore on the internet, but it was very, very brutal for Channel 4. A couple of their executives were really eviscerated by the panel, in fact. Plus Green may not have got home. I may not find much under pressure either. So I what I was saying about Matt Chapman was saying he was knew it wouldn't stay. But then he says him on Twitter, but everyone's going to attack me for it. He seems very defensive, Matt Chapman, on occasions. I don't quite know why. He's a very prickly character. I said about Paul Nicholas yesterday. That he just sometimes he can be a bit defensive, certainly in his Twitter feed. Actually, in fact, my own personal account I had for years on Twitter, well before this one was my one for horse racing I bought in. And he blocked me on it. I don't remember why he blocked Matt Chapman. I have no idea why he did that. A Floor Porter, impressive, good ride. Paisley Park winning a close third, excellent staying hurdle. Always just how close to win in the past. And always there and thereabouts. Champ. I think my view, and I said this 2 years ago. I think I'm as also people at the time saying he should have gone for Stairs Hurdle, possibly even 2 years ago. Certainly last year he should not have gone for Gold Cup. I said in a video after he won the RSA Chase, or what used to be RSA Chase, probably Novices Chase, that he shouldn't have. I worried about his jumping, and I was so back in the Gold Cup he just couldn't jump at all. But he was 10 years old now. I don't think ever 10 would ever won the Stairs Hurdle. I think we're saying maybe never. Even Big Box was injured actually when he was 10. He may well have won it when he was 10 years old. Good chance he would have done. He was just amazing, Big Box, of course. He couldn't do it as an 11-year-old, but the year afterwards. I don't think a 10-year-old has ever won the Stairs Hurdle. Right, now, in fact, I'm missing one of the Crimson Members did. Now, let's just check if this would just be dodgy ways for Crimson Members. I think it might be a year before was a dodgy one. Rose Ravine winning it when it should have been disqualified, but for interference. But we had two horses had the same owners, so I think that's the year before the dodgy one. Rose Ravine basically should have been disqualified under any circumstance. No, because Emma's one as 11-year-olds, and I'd won it as 7-year-old 4 years earlier. Well, that's the only one. But frankly, Champs won it last year. He's going to win it at all. 10-year-olds, he's just too old basically as 10 years old. I don't should have won it before. Cool Cody having another win at the Cheltenham Festival, great win for horse. I was up over the pace, got overtaken by a few horses, came back again. A wonderful performance to run on so strongly there. Very impressive win. Pilarco's on second place. I was saying another good effort from Phil O'Brien. I hoped if my horse didn't win. And Slate House won a good race a long way actually in that race, but in the end just ran out of steam later on actually. But he came 6th, but he was really up there, and I thought it was the gain. I think, might win here. But unfortunately not. I was hoping if I did win, for both not only for Phil O'Brien, but Ian Robertson's an interesting bloke. But saying I talked about the Coxlodge Cheltenham preview event just a little while ago. Both of them have been the last 2 times it's been on. It wasn't on last year because of COVID, but it's on 2020 and this year. And it's nice, and I'd like to see them have a win. Of course, I'm assuming Robertson was part of Imperial Commander because it's the same ownership, same colours. But still nice to see him have a win there. But I'd like to see Phil O'Brien saying a win at the Cheltenham Festival, and he'll come at some point, he says. So, well, he always wondered about that sort of thing for somebody. Stewart's reporting that saying of the horse had some improved form with his last two ones. Who had won the time before that, and Evan Williams' trainer said he just basically couldn't offer an explanation. She was saying that Slate House was ridden by Brendan Powell Jr. It's interesting now he's still called Brendan Powell. He used to be called Brendan Powell Jr., but the trainer Brendan Powell seems to not been. You don't need to say that anymore. Apparently, John O'Neill Jr. He gets called Jr. Brendan Powell just gets called Brendan Powell, but he. The interference between him and Cody on the final bend, and Powell riding a Slate House suspended for 3 days. For careless riding, so even better really from effort from Cool Cody for his interference as well, and still managed to get the win. But then had to wedge himself. Was suspended for 2 days using his whip above a permitted level of them turning in. So both of them have some issues there. Of the other stewards, Chinavag and Neil Mulholland saying he was just outclassed basically. Gordon Elliott saying Grand Paradis had jumped Paul in the soft ground, and again he's mentioned the tacky ground. Winner for me here in the 6th race, the Love Roy, beating a horse with no name. And I have to say, was it because when I thought that horse didn't win, I just don't like the name. I appreciate it's a pun on a man with no name, but I just don't like the name for a horse at all, frankly. I just don't. But Love Roy winning it, Train High Fly, winning by Jonathan Burke, and it's the only horse actually on my list. It's the only race here, in fact, it's the only race so far at the festival where I only had one horse. To merge sort of selection criteria I have, as actually of the form here, the video, and we don't know past all of them. No one else did. As I look at mainly because I think with the favourite, Dinner Blue rating knocked a lot of horses out. I mean, I tend to use ratings, I do, because I don't. It'd be easier to use your own ratings to have the ability, but I don't have the time. More importantly, I don't have the ability to do it, and I don't want to spend my time trying to waste my time trying to do something I almost certainly won't be good enough at doing. But Love and Roy winning that, as I said, a horse with no name. Favourite Dinah Blue, only it's her second run, and that was put in the deep end. It was a massive talking horse. I think it had been 10 times at previous events, but it just was there. Wasn't good enough probably. Maybe an experience, maybe not good enough, I don't know. It was very, very impressive for debut, but that was on heavy ground. I don't know if it's just soft, but maybe a tacky ground or whatever. Maybe just didn't suit the horse. Maybe it was just a soft, real heavy ground horse. I don't know. We'll find that out in the future. Certainly, I give him a debut. Certainly, some horse for the future. So maybe, so I'd like to see a horse run again. Perhaps punch down a Aintree or something like that. We'll see what Mullins does with the horse. But I think she's got a good future. Stewart saying that Daniel Mullins, her statuaire, was placed at 1, 2, 3 early stages. And Nicola Bourboinville reporting a horse with no name placed second. As I just said. Hung right-handed, and Sam Tristan Davis reporting he did land on place to also 1, 2, 3. Final race at a thrilling tight finish. They were getting the final stride. Now, that's not the receiver race. You're thinking, oh, well, that didn't happen, did it? No, it was me trying to get to watch a race. As I said in a earlier video, I had some events in town in Newcastle, and I had to actually leave my home, get into town, watch the race, and then get to the event. The event at Litton Phil for 6 o'clock, and I just couldn't and I decided we had to leave after the 4:50 and I watched a 5:30 in the bookmakers in town. And I'm good if I didn't leave it till after the football Kimura, because there's no doubt I would not have made the race actually. And I've only won Cheltenham Festival race, not seen live. It was 1996 onwards now in some way. 2016 at the course. And the other times the bookmakers on the TV was the 2000 Triumph Hurdle, Snowdrop's win. Well, I'm doing that. I was doing an MA in Information and Library Management, and I did a group discussion meeting for some project we were doing as part of the MA. A few other people I wanted to meet doing a Triumph Hurdle, and I thought, well, okay. I thought, I didn't want to do that, but I would say we wanted to meet for doing a Triumph Hurdle. I didn't want to say, well, meeting for doing a Triumph Hurdle. I wanted to meet, I say 2 o'clock, whatever Triumph Hurdle was, and I thought, I better agree to that. Especially for whiskies, if I say, well, I don't want to do that. I say, well, let's make it 3:30. I think, oh, God, the Gold Cup. So I'd rather miss Triumph Hurdle than the Gold Cup, for example. So that's the only time I missed a race since then. And I got off them at Central Station, and I thought I knew where Ladbroke Sports. I couldn't remember if it was closed or not. And I thought, oh, I don't know. It used to be near the cathedral, and I thought that's Catholic cathedral. As I said before, 3 cathedrals in Newcastle: Protestant Cathedral, Catholic Cathedral, and St James's Park. The Catholic Cathedral. No, Protestant Cathedral. It's a Protestant one. I'm not religious. It's a Protestant Cathedral. It was the bookmakers was near. But I forgot. I misjudged how far away from Central Station. So I got a monument that stopped before. Got there, thought, oh Lord, it's closed. And suddenly then, when I think, well, heck, it took longer than I expected. I think, Lord, I'm going to struggle to make this race now. Look at Google Maps, where's the nearest bookmakers? Oh, it's Ladbroke. Then it starts raining. Then I start, because I'm not feeling unwell last couple of weeks. I had to start running a bit and walking quicker. Everything. I've been a little unwell last couple of weeks on a few occasions. I also to avoid it as well, but it's not just that. I'm just being a bit unwell as well. And I just started raining, and my hand-eye coordination is not great. Oh no, I don't want one of these conditions. And I managed. Well, I found a way to where Ladbroke's going to be. And luckily, though, as we're getting there, a minute before, I was a Betford shop there. So look, when Ladbroke's just about got there as it started, and luckily I got to Betford shop, but just slightly earlier. And I thought, got there a minute before it started. So in for Chambert there, ridden by Lucy Turner. 40-1, bit of a shock winner, of course. Mr. Coffey second, winning by. I'm always a fan of Sam Ray Cohen's riding. I think he's a great jockey. Something that gets criticism as a galloping dentist, but I think he's a very, very good rider indeed. Guy Moore, the steward saying here, was cautioned that Larry had ridden into the parade ring without its clad cheek pieces, and was located to the Gelding before the start. I did say there was something similar happened to someone else yesterday, and I thought that was surprisingly rare. And it's happened again, actually. Maybe it happens more than you think. I just not noticed it too much before it would go racing. And then if you look at students' reports, he probably found it's not a surprise it happens on occasions. So one meeting in Newcastle, as was almost, I was wondering what's going on. I said in the one meeting Newcastle videos where the horse was, and I then found out that it was struggling to fit some headgear to a horse. So Mr. Ben Harvey, wide of 8, that is shame finished last of the 13, and horse appeared to be turned on approach of final offence, was shown, according to the race, reminded of, I'm quoting directly here from the BHA, reminded of its responsibility, pull up his mount whenever it has no more to give, or it is contrary to the horse's welfare to continue the race. In other words, you stupid bastard, you should have pulled the horse up. But I think I may put it more politely than that. Following the race, Gordon Elliott reporting Foot of Salter was pulled up, a very well supported horse, was never travelling in the soft ground, which he considered to be tacky. The third time, I said the same thing, Elliott. Ah, dear. So there's arguments so far. I think it's Elliott every time. Now, day 1, the ground's too quick. Day 2, the ground's too soft. Day 3, the ground's too tacky. I think I check this for a second. I check if that's Elliott every time. I hope that's probably someone else. But I think it's Elliott every time now. Yep, I'm just checking the day before. Yes, it's Elliott. Elliott every time, 3 times. I mean, fair enough, there's a point to it, mate, but it's way amusing when it's Ian Jardine saying, call me Harry, who was pulled up 1, 2, 3. Larry again here, who was just mentioned a minute ago. And there's jockey Mr. Freddie Mitchell saying he made a mistake at the first, who was pulled up as Stuart asked him about it, and he said the horse never travelling afterwards. And Mr. Derek O'Connor saying that Schoolboy Hours, who was pulled up, made a very bad mistake at 4th class fence. Well, I saw that. Where if you've seen the race, you've seen the mistake. And the commentator, if it was Dean Bartlett, I think it is, would have picked that up. He picked that up as well. I saw it. He saw it. He couldn't miss it. I mean, it was an awful mistake, and that ruined any hope. He's out the back a bit, quite a bit to make up, frankly. But that mistake stuffed him, obviously, and he was pulled up quickly after that. Well, if you saw the race, you'd have seen it anyway. My horse, by the way, I didn't see right down just checking the results here. And look, escape was actually hampered and unseated. That's what I saw the horse fall. I didn't know it was actually hampered until I just seen right now. There's nothing to do about that. It's a bit unlucky, especially for Thomas de Easton on a £7 claim. You obviously won't get many chances to win a ride at the Cheltenham Festival. Also, getting escape in the day was quite well fancied for Gold Cup actually. One of the 7-year-old in the Gold Cup. Obviously, no near that sort of form since then. Yeah, the Elegant Escape was won the Welsh Grand National back in December 2018, and actually was 6th of a Gold Cup as a 7-year-old. So it has been a good horse in the past. Obviously, not in that class since. In fact, the last win horse get put in was actually Welsh Grand National 27th December 2018, so a long time ago for a win. There's also some free entertainment after the race. Well, basically, it wasn't Newcastle. As I walked out for the Betfair bookmakers, not a while before my meeting at the Listen Phil, very interesting talk on peace in Europe, and this was actually scheduled for before the Ukraine conflict. It was actually scheduled last year and is being reheld now. But at a pub, called the Butlers. Now, I have to say, I've never heard of this pub on Nun Street, Newcastle before. The opposite side to a Betfred shop, and it looks like the sort of thing I never would want to go in anyway. And unless I was with friends, and if I went into it with friends, I'd think afterwards. I'd look at my lifestyle choices. I think, why I've got these sort of friends. But it was just some screaming from people, a youngish woman outside, some group of people, and yelling. And that's often can be this sort of thing. I couldn't understand a word she said. Literally, apart from a few times saying, I'm 21-year-old. That's all I could make out. It was just, I don't know, it was just ranting and screaming. It was just, it was like street theatre. It was very strange. I was very careful not looking across too much, because there was people there and I think you might think I was doing that and I might get myself into trouble myself. Well, that was a rather bizarre ending after the racing. So that's it, the Gold Cup tomorrow. Another 7 races ploughing on here. And we'll see you start with back to the Triumph Hurdle tomorrow.